Welcome to BizTech's Enterprise Technology Show. Now, today's episode, we're going to be interviewing Gavin Barfield. He's the Vice President and Chief Technology Officer for Solutions ASEAN at Salesforce. Now, we're going to explore with him the transformative power of AI, which has taken the world by storm. He will also talk about Salesforce AI Cloud and how the cutting-edge platform enables the AI to be harnessed to enhance operations and customer experiences. Now, we're going to be talking about the game-changing potential of generative AI and how businesses can leverage its power to enhance decision-making, drive creativity, and also uncover new growth opportunities. With that, Gavin, welcome to the show.
Hi, Brian. It's great to be here. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Now, thanks for coming on, Gavin. Now, first of all, before we do anything else, generative AI has generated so much of attention in the industry, but a lot of skeptics are saying it's mostly hype. Could you kind of walk us through what is perception and what is reality and what's really tangible today?
Well, I mean, this is new technologies that it's taken by storm. In fact, I think you take something like ChatGPT, that's hit 100 million users in less than 2 months, the fastest growing consumer product. Mobile, I think, took 16 years or so to hit the same number. So the speed that this thing is going is phenomenal. And as with all new technology, I mean, we're on a learning curve globally, in the industry, and the technology is maturing. New entries are coming in. The AI market has had a plethora of new entries coming into the market over the past 3 to 6 months. It's an area that I wouldn't say is fully mature. There's much more stuff to go, but there's certainly use cases that can be adopted. The technology mature enough at the moment to find some really solid use cases and really some business value out of it. Although, as you said, we're still at early stages, and I think that this area is just going to explode. I wouldn't be ashamed of saying I think this is probably one of the biggest technology innovations of a generation. I think we'll look back at this and see that this is one of our generation's biggest technology leaps. Okay,
then let's break this down a little bit. So Salesforce is known for providing solutions around customers. And you've made significant investments in AI. Talk to us about what are you doing with AI and generative AI in particular?
Well, I mean, Salesforce isn't new to AI. We've been in this business for 7 years plus. In fact, we have our Salesforce AI Research Center based here in Singapore, the first one outside the US, which we started in 2019. We released our own large language model for code generation a few years back, and we've built what we call Einstein, which is our AI tool inside our products for many years. In fact, interesting, we do over 1 trillion AI-powered predictions every single week on our platform at the moment. So we've been in AI for a while and at scale. What's different now is we're moving from predictive AI to building, as you said, some of these new generative technologies into our platform. And this is really the game changer. And for us, it's about trust. All of this has to be wrapped within this envelope of trust. And if you check out some of the stuff on Salesforce Plus, which was released a few days ago in terms of some of our new keynotes, what we're talking about is how do you bring this generative technology to customers and to the end customers, but in a trusted way. As I said in the beginning, there's a lot of new companies and a lot of new technologies and things are moving very fast, but Salesforce is really trying to make sure that trust that we built with our customers over the past 24 years and the way they've trusted us to go into the cloud, we're going to utilize the same trust to help them get into generative AI.
Okay, so Gavin, you got into this game earlier than a lot of other companies. A lot of companies are playing catch up. You said 2019, you started integrating AI into your solutions. Give us an idea of how generative AI can transform business processes and decision making. Maybe you can give us some examples.
But yes, it's essentially 2016, we started incorporating Einstein and doing some serious research over the past 4 or 5 years, and we've been at the forefront of that, as you mentioned. Really what we see this ability to supercharge humans and to really elevate the customer experience. So one of our first use cases to look at this generative technology is around service. And if you look at a typical service call, what happens is a customer service agent goes on a journey. They go on a journey to go and find information. They may have to look at PDF documents. They may have to review knowledge articles. They go on this sort of exploration to try and find the answer. Then when they've found the answer, they have to then bring all that together and write that in a nice response back to a customer, read through it, check through it again, and then send that off to the customer. And that takes up a lot of time. With the generative AI technology, we can combine that really exciting stuff coming from these large language models, but we can ground that in data coming from the CRM. I don't know how much you've used ChatGPT. I expect quite a lot. If you put a general question in, you get a general prompt in, you get a general response. So if I was to go and say to something like ChatGPT, send me an email to a client suggesting we meet to talk about an investment product, it will come up with a fairly decent response, but nothing that's really usable. Something generic. Dear customer, thank you for your business. We'd like to set up a meeting to discuss something more. It would sound nice, but it's not valuable. But when you actually ground that in real customer data, if we're able to use that prompt and ground that and tell the large language model details of the customer, details of what the customer's been looking at, details of what we think they might be interested in, that generative response coming back becomes very, very valuable. However, you need to do that in a trusted and safe way. And that's really where we've been trying to build our products. How do we use these large language models? How do we utilize this generative technology, but with trust at the center?
And Gavin, that's the thing that we're going to be grappling on for the next couple of years, I think. It's the issues around trust, data privacy, and all the ethical implications that are often associated with AI technologies. How is Salesforce, or what is Salesforce doing to ensure that from a self-regulation perspective, you're actually looking at all these issues really right now on the early stages, so that it aligns with responsible AI practices?
That's right, and that's critical to us. So we have set up an Office of Ethical AI, and we're taking this very seriously. We've set up new guidelines for responsible generative AI, which is really the North Star for our teams and customers and anticipating and mitigating risks. So that focuses on 5 key areas. Number 1 is around accuracy. Number 2 is around safety. Number 3 is honesty. Number 4 is empowerment. And finally, sustainability. So everything we're doing around AI is very much anchored around those 5 areas. And we're really taking the lead, I think, on developing these in an ethical way.
Okay, Gavin, give me some examples then. Since you've rolled out your latest versions of your generative AI-powered solutions, give us an example of how cleverly customers have been using your solutions and then impacting them not only from a service level, but also impacting the bottom line.
Well, one great example is Gucci. I mean, Gucci has been using some of our generative AI stuff, and their use case is around the language that they talk to customers. They have a brand, they have a certain way of talking, and what they're able to do is use this generative AI to what they call Guccify the language that they come back to customers. So instead of replying in a very sort of generic way, they're able to use these large language models to write in a certain style, and that builds up a much more stronger customer relationship. So that's one really good example. Another one close to heart is John Lewis. John Lewis in the UK. I'm British, as you know. So John Lewis in the UK has been using some of our predictive technology for quite some time. And they've managed to save over £1 million per annum in their servers and call center costs by using this predictive technology. One example, in their stores, they have bakeries, and they're able to use some of this predictive AI so that they can really optimize what they bake, to make sure that they have the right number of croissants ready in the morning and they don't overbake and underbake. And of course, different stores are different demographics. So they're able to utilize this really powerful data and all of this AI capability to come up with very accurate schedules on what to bake and to reduce their wastage and maximize their profits.
So Gavin, I want to take both your examples because they're so interesting. Now, the Guccification of the conversation with the customer, I think that's really interesting because essentially while you were explaining that, I was thinking of how basically they've managed to somewhat clone the store assistant in the Paris store to basically communicate better with the customer. And that customer intimacy is something that it takes takes customer service then to a next level, even though they are communicating via a bot or an email response or something like that.
That's right. And for us, this is about personalization and personalization at scale. It would be lovely if you could personally reach out to every customer, if you could personally craft a response. If you felt that the marketing message or the customer service messages or the sales messages were really personally developed for individuals. Of course, when you've got hundreds or thousands or millions of customers, that's impossible. And what this generative AI is doing is allowing you to, as you said, create that similar customer experience and that really highly personalized customer experience. And, you know, we all get flooded by marketing messages on a daily basis. That the ones that really resonate are the ones that talk to you personally, the ones that really seem to understand what you're really looking for, understand what you're interested in, and grab your interest. And you can only do that personalization at scale if you use things like generative AI, and if you build that on solid data foundations.
Now, I want to use the John Lewis example now for completely different reasons. When you were explaining the John Lewis examples, my thoughts were, besides that great customer experience, that integration to the back end, because if you know that particular, well, different stores have different customer profiles, different bake times, different sort of pastries and stuff like that, that then cuts wastage across the supply chain. It translates back to your literally your ordering, which is then automated. And I just could imagine then the amount of cost saving then across the chain, just because you've got the customer preferences right from the very beginning.
That's right. Well, the talk of this is making me fancy a chocolate croissant, but I'll wait till the interview is finished before I go and get one. Yeah, they do. You're right. And they use our product Tableau GPT to really empower employees to make those inventory decisions on their own, to predict demand, stock the right products. And that's resulting in millions of cost savings. But what's interesting is, how do you put this technology in the hands of people who can use it? You don't want somebody in the back end programming some algorithm to tell you, you know, what to stock. You need to put this in the hands of bakers, people who are not necessarily technologists, to understand how to do this. And that's what's this predictive and generative AI is giving you. So with Tableau GPT, for example, you can simply ask it a question and it will respond with a data-driven answer. There's no need to code. There's no need to go and look at graphs and statistics. You can simply type something into Tableau GPT in natural language, and it will respond to you in natural language, and it will give you that data. And I think that's powerful. How do we take this technology and put it in the hands of people who need it? Which, in the example I gave you, is somebody who is working out, you know, how many pieces of bread to put on a tray in the oven, not somebody sitting in an office looking at spreadsheets and graphs and tons of data.
But one of the things, Gavin, which ChatGPT, generative AI and all will do, is the sinister side of it is it potentially will put lots of people out of jobs. And that's obviously the worry that's been called out by even the foremost AI experts around the world. How do you see this panning out? Because, for example, in the contact center and the customer service industry, obviously that's a huge employer globally.
Well, we see humans in the loop as an essential part of AI, and we see this as augmenting humans, supercharging, if you like, their capabilities to allow them to really up the level of customer service, up the interaction, and do more. So, you know, we don't see this as a job replacement. We see this as almost like your virtual assistant to help you do things, to help you make better decisions, to help you provide better responses, speedier customer service, and a higher quality customer service than actually putting things out of work. And, you know, what's interesting, as I said before, is the combination of all these different pieces of data. So, you know, we have an example. Maybe I can take an example give you an example of a clothing company. Maybe they make outdoor equipment or outdoor clothing. So a customer emails you and says, I bought your jacket last year and I'm going across to Switzerland skiing. Is this jacket suitable for my trip in February? So what does a customer service agent have to do? They have to go and find all this piece of information. What did the customer buy? What type of jacket in it? What's the specification of it? What's the temperature like in February? They have to do all this searching around, then they pull it together and have to craft this email together. But if you take a combination of the data that's being held in Salesforce, which would be data like what you purchased and the product specification, you take public data like the weather in Switzerland when you're skiing in February,
Yeah.
and you take the generative large language model, you can instantly come up with a response that says, your jacket is model ABC, it is rated for -4, but it's normally -20 in Switzerland at this time, so maybe this is not suitable. And then you can look to then use AI, predictive AI, to come up with your next best action. Maybe you'd like to upgrade to this particular jacket, maybe you should be wearing an inner liner. So the customer service has been magnified. The customer's got a great response back instantly, and the customer service agent hasn't had to run around. Now, we haven't done without the customer service agent. They're still in the loop, but they've been magnified in terms of their capability. But what we're really looking at is how to do this in a trusted way. We're looking at how to make sure that data passed to your large language model is secure and done in a trusted way. And that's where our Einstein GPT trust layer, which we recently launched, came into play.
Now, Gavin, if I'm a CIO of a large conglomerate and you were once wearing that hat, what should I be looking out for in order to use these new technologies as quickly as possible and transform my organizations?
I think there's speed is important, but there's also trust and security and safety. I mean, we're all custodians of data. Salesforce takes our responsibility as holding data very, very responsibly, and companies do as well. So I think it's a matter of being able to balance the speed of going to market, but do this in a trusted way. And we've seen, through certain companies who have used things like ChatGPT, large language models, where they've thrown data out there, that data has become in the public domain very quickly. And that has created a security and a data leakage. So what we're sort of encouraging customers to do is to start proof of concept, start utilizing this technology, identify use cases, start implementing this. But we're trying to pull things together so that you can do that in a trusted and a safe and secure way that doesn't compromise the data, doesn't compromise the customer's personal identifiable data, and doesn't leak data out into these large language models that, if you interact with them in the wrong way, is like a sponge. I have nearly a 2-year-old daughter, so everything I say, she picks up and remembers. Large language models, if you don't use them in the right way, very much like that. And it's important, I think, that we surround this in trust with things like zero retention, data masking and stuff. And that's what we're building into our trust layer.
Now, in ASEAN is your remit. What should ASEAN businesses be looking out for from Salesforce in the next 12 months?
You'll hear a lot from Salesforce on the combination of AI plus data plus CRM. And that's really our new tagline. And that's what we feel is the winning combination. As I said at the beginning, AI by itself, just throwing things out to a large language model without context, without passing the data, produces a very generic response. We believe that the combination of the artificial intelligence, and whether that's generative or predictive AI, with a solid data foundation, and we have a product, Data Cloud, which allows you to bring together multiple data sources and create a data platform across your organization. That combined with CRM, which gives you the actionability. It's no good coming up with predictions if you can't do something with it. So the CRM then allows you to fire off a marketing message or a service request or a sales email. So we believe that combination, AI plus data plus CRM, is what makes us unique. And that's, you'll hear a lot from Salesforce over the next 12 months. And you'll hear a lot of us talking about trust, security, and how companies can implement this new technology in a trustworthy and secure and ethical way.
Gavin, it's been a fascinating conversation and I learned a lot. But before we leave, any final thoughts you'd like to leave the audience with?
I'll just say the word trust again. It's to me, I mean, I must say this 4 or 5 times, every hour. I think my advice to customers out there would be, this technology is transformational. I think it is really going to change the way that we work. It is something that every CIO and every CEO should know about. We think every company should be having an AI strategy. It's something which the time is right to start looking at POCs, looking at concepts, looking to explore it. But just choose the organizations carefully who you want to work with, and make sure that those organizations are going to protect your data. Making sure that their data is not their product, making sure that your data remains with you and you can utilize these new technologies in a safe, transparent, secure, and ethical way. And Salesforce would love to help you with all of that.
Little sales pitch at the end there, but Gavin, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for your time, Brian. It's really been a pleasure talking to you.
We've been speaking to Gavin Barfield. He's the Vice President and Chief Technology Officer for Solutions for the ASEAN Salesforce. We've been speaking to Gavin Barfield. He's the Vice President and Chief Technology Officer for Solutions at Salesforce in ASEAN. So I'll say that one more time. We've been speaking to Gavin Barfield, the Vice President and Chief Technology Officer Solutions and in ASEAN at Salesforce. I'm Brian Fernandez, and you've been watching and listening to BizTech's Enterprise Technology Show. This interview will be on our website, www.biztech.asia, as well as our syndication partners, TV stations, radio stations, and websites. Thanks a lot for tuning in.